How's it going, folks? I'm Mason DePriest.
And I'm Cameron Laughlin, and this is Playing to the Whistle.
In today's show, we will go over Sulphur boys basketball, and we'll go over the boys soccer team and how they performed so far this season.
Then we will talk about the topic that is turning heads in the football world. Nick Saban enters retirement, and lastly, we will recap the New Orleans Saints season.
Let's jump right into things.
On Tuesday, January 9th, the Sulphur boys basketball team took a tough loss to their district rival, the Bar Buccaneers. The final score was 62-41.
Dwayne Delders and Colby Dougherty led the team in points with 9 each, and John David LaFleur led the team in rebounds with 8.
The Buccaneers took advantage of the Tours all game by playing hard defense and forcing the Tours to a total of 14 turnovers. For Sulphur to be successful in his future games, they will have to cut down the number of unforced turnovers that lead to points in transition for opponents.
Sulphur will move to 11-6 on the season, ranked 9th in non-select Division I. They will start district play January 19th and face Barb again on February 9th. Be sure to pack the gym at Sulphur High and cheer on the Tours as they look to make another run at the state championship this season.
After coming off a close game ending in a tie on January 9th, the boys soccer team has started district play with a record of 0-1-1.
The Tours tied the Lafayette Lions 1-1 on Tuesday, and it wasn't their first tie of the season.
This is the third time Sulphur has tied this season. The first one was against Pineville and the second against St. Louis Catholic.
The Tours now move to 11-2-3 on the season and they're ranked 6th in non-select Division I. They will take on the Acadiana Wrecking Rams on January 16th for their second district game of the season at Matt Walker Memorial Stadium. Come support the Tours.
Now let's jump into the topic that nobody in the football world expected, Nick Saban's retirement.
Unexpected news out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. As of January 10, 2024, the college football world has learned that Nick Saban has officially retired from coaching at 72 years old.
Saban coached for 17 years at the University of Alabama. He won 6 national titles with the Crimson Tide, and he had a total of 292 career wins.
He led the Tide to winning seasons every year since 2008 and delivered 4 Heisman Trophy winners during his run, the latest being now Carolina Panther quarterback Bryce Young.
Saban's latest team went 12-2 and finished the 2023 season with a 27-20 overtime loss to Michigan, the eventual national champion.
Before Saban joined Alabama in 2007, he coached at LSU, Michigan State, and Toledo. He also coached at the professional level for the Miami Dolphins.
Saban says he retired because of age and medical concerns.
Potential coaches to watch for the job is Oregon head coach Dan Lanning, Texas coach Steve Sarkisian, Clemson head coach Dabo Sweeney, and Florida State head coach Mike Norvell. So yeah, Cameron, Nick Saban officially retires at 72 years old, January 10th. Like we said earlier, 292 career wins, that's huge, 12 conference championships, and he led Alabama with the winning seasons ever since 2008. That's huge.
Yeah. That's a year after we were born.
Yeah, 07. Yeah. So,
he could have played one more season and got to 300 career wins if he really wanted to,
right.
But obviously it was not that big of a concern for him. 2 more years, he would have reached 30 years of coaching in football. But, I mean, he's a good coach, arguably one of the best coaches of all time in college football.
Right. He had a collegiate record of 292 wins, 71 losses, and a tie, and he won 11 Southeastern Conference titles. And so, the big question is, who will replace Nick Saban?
There's nobody.
One answer.
There's nobody.
One answer. No one can replace Nick Saban because of the impact he had on, not just in Alabama, but the impact he had on the game of football itself in the college level.
I mean, if you look at this dude before the NIL and the transfer portal was a big thing, I mean, he was securing all these 5-star recruits.
Right.
Like, as soon as they were coming out of high school, he just had them all lined up.
Right. Everyone wanted to play for him.
Yeah. And that may be one reason why he's retiring as well is the NIL. Colleges are going to start struggling to keep recruits, and they're going to deal with transfers
because they playing for money now.
Yeah,
because that's what it is in today's world. NIL is money, and whoever pays you the most is where you want to go.
In my opinion, I think that's going to ruin college football.
It already has ruined it. The transfer portal, the NILs, and I saw someone that was committed that entered the transfer portal, committed to Georgia, and then flipped his commitment to Florida State. It's insane. I hate the transfer portal. I don't like any of this NIL stuff. It's ruining the game of college football.
College football has always been known for how passionate those players play, and money is just going to ruin it.
Now it's just about
you got guys in college making more than rookies in NFL.
Some NFL players, like practice squad NFL players. Yeah.
It's just crazy to me. And this is when we're going to see, teams like TCU and FSU start really rising up to the top when they can pay these players more.
Right. So, Nick Saban retires at 72 years old. arguably greatest college football coach of all time. So now let's jump into New Orleans Saints.
The New Orleans Saints finished the 2023-2024 season with a record of 9-8, missing the postseason for the third year in a row.
New Orleans finished at the top of the NFC South, tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, the Saints did not win the division. They didn't clinch the NFC South because of Tampa's win over Carolina. They would have had a wild card berth with a Chicago win over Green Bay and an Arizona win over Seattle.
If you remember in Week 3 when New Orleans played the Green Bay Packers, the Saints went into the fourth quarter up 17-0. They ended up losing that one 18-17. If the Saints would have won that game, then they would have won the NFC South and they would have been trying to make a run at the Super Bowl yet again.
The biggest reasons this season why the Saints didn't make the postseason was because of red zone and scoring struggles, bad quarterback play at the beginning and the middle of the season, the defense taking a step back towards the end of the season, and not much of a run game.
Yeah. Head coach Dennis Allen has secured a spot on the coaching staff going into the next season. Nobody knows the status of any other coaches so far. Keep your eyes open for coaching changes and other things in the New Orleans off seasons.
So yeah, finished 9-8, tied first in the NFC South, missing the playoffs for a third consecutive year in a row. 9-8, 7-10, and then 9-8.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, they would have clinched the NFC South with a Carolina win over Tampa, and obviously the Saints won against the Falcons, 48-16
or
something like that.
48-17.
They destroyed them.
Or winning the Green Bay game earlier in the year, they would have won. They would have gotten a wild card spot. And you know, like you just said, the red zone offense and the scoring offense was so bad within the first and middle parts of the season.
Right.
It was atrocious. I mean, it was hard to watch the Saints play. Right. But, you know, in the last stretch of the season, the Saints were, I think, third in red zone offense. Mm-hmm. They were ranked third in scoring. They had a conversion rate of 92.7% or something like that. So, you know, obviously they did learn. They did progress throughout the season. But it took them so long that it harmed them in the end.
Yeah, but so in the quarterback play, early and midway through the year, I thought Derek Carr, I was ready to start Jameis Winston. I didn't like the way he played, but towards the end of the year, he played really well. And then not having much of a run game, even with Alvin Kamara, remember he was suspended the first 3 games because of what he did last. He was suspended.
In an altercation in a hotel.
In Las Vegas with the Pro Bowl last season, so that's why he got suspended for the first 3 games. But, you know, even with him, I really saw him much as more of a receiving type of running back. Jamal Williams, he got his first touchdown of the season this Sunday against Atlanta. He didn't really do much. And then Kendre Miller, the rookie, he was hurt most of the season. So, I mean, not really much of a run game for New Orleans, and that's not ever good.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara has been the star of New Orleans for a long period of time, and I would not be surprised if Alvin Kamara started looking for other teams to go to.
Crazy, yep. And even I have emotional outbursts in my notes. Even with that also relates to off the field.
Yeah, you can tell when a player's fed up.
Michael Thomas, what he did when he got arrested, but he really didn't play the whole season. Chris Olave got arrested, so you know that does something really to your team, like
team chemistry and team moral. Yeah,
even that, and then emotional outbursts with Chris Olave getting mad at Derek Carr getting mad at his line, the line getting mad at Derek Carr. Just, you know, I really don't think Dennis Allen had what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't
the knowledge and wisdom to.
Or he didn't really have them bundled together as a team. You know what I mean? Just a ton of.
You know, a lot of Saints fans, when they heard about Derek Carr, they were thinking more of not a rebuild year, but Derek Carr is going to be plug and play in the New Orleans offense, and we're just ready to go. Which was the case in a sense, but it really wasn't what we should have expected.
Right. Dennis Allen was trying to run the Sean Payton and Drew Brees offense with
Derek Carr and Chris Olave and
Juwan Johnson, and you can't do that. That Sean Payton and Drew Brees offense is something else.
So special, it's not going to be recreated.
We'll never see it again in New Orleans. But,
you know, another thing talking about tight ends is the lack of use of tight ends in New Orleans this season played a really big part.
Yep.
You
Jimmy
know,
Graham.
We have 2 tight ends standing over 6'2", over 180, 200 pounds. That's a big deal when you're not using them, you know.
Right.
I mean,
Jimmy Graham, we did not use him in the red zone much at all. And when we did, we scored. So, you know, like you said, lack of tight end use.
So now, folks, going to the college football playoffs, we've seen Michigan versus Washington, the score ending in 34-13. Michigan takes that game away with the running.
Yeah, huge running game, or the running game was really successful for Michigan in this game, like it has been all season.
Yeah.
Blake Corum, 21 carries, 2 touchdowns, 134 yards. Donovan Edwards, 6 carries, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You know, at one point in the game, he had 2 carries for 2 touchdowns. That was crazy. I was like, give him the ball again. It's going to be like a Randy Moss type of game for him. 3 receptions, or 3 carries for 3 touchdowns, just like he had, you know, 3 receptions. Randy Moss had 3 receptions for 3 touchdowns.
The running back for Washington, Dylan Johnson, averaged 3 yards a carry, 3 yards per carry, right?
Yeah.
Blake Corum averaged 6.4. That's over double with 2 touchdowns more than Dylan Johnson.
Yeah, you know, Michigan's defense, they showed they're the best in the nation. They held Washington. Here, I have it in my notes right here. They held Washington to 2 and 14 on 3rd downs. And that's
crazy.
And they held them to a total of 46 rushing yards.
Yeah, that's you know, but I think Michigan fans were honestly kind of disappointed at the performance of J.J. McCarthy on.
Well, there's no need to throw the ball if the run game is working like it did all game. So, I mean, if you're a Michigan fan and you're worried about J.J. McCarthy only completed 10 passes of 18, then you don't know football because, I mean, the run game was working.
Yeah, you had 4 rushing touchdowns. Even though your quarterback had no touchdowns, he still got you down the field.
Touchdowns, no touchdowns from J.J. McCarthy.
You know, but Michael Penix Jr. threw for 255 yards with only 1 touchdown, going 27 for 51 with 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions were, you know, 2 possibly missed possessions. It would have brought the game a little bit closer, you know, 34-20 or 34-30.
The one at the end of the game, it was in the final minutes of the game. Michigan got an interception. Penix threw it across the field, and the safety read it. I can't really remember his name, but, you know, he came up with it, and then I think he almost housed it. He almost returned it for a pick 6, but if I'm not mistaken. But you know, I watched a ton of football this weekend. But
Michigan scores that rushing touchdown within the first 5 minutes of the game.
Right.
That's when I knew they were going to take it off. You know,
that's Donovan Edwards. That was Donovan Edwards.
You know, Donovan Edwards, you know, averaged 17.3 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns.
Had 6.
Yeah,
and then his long was like 41 yards or something.
Yeah, he had 124 rushing yards, I'm pretty sure, with 6 carries. But, you know, the biggest, I've heard some things, you know, the biggest, I guess, spectrum we should be looking at right now is this is 2 years in a row where college football playoff has had a big gap within the final game, you know. I mean, what do you even take away from that, you know?
Well, it has a lot to do with the committee, and I'm not saying that they were wrong for not putting Florida State in. I'm saying they're wrong for not putting Georgia in the playoffs.
Yeah, Florida State was a no-go once they lost. What's his name again?
Michael. No. Jordan Travis.
Yeah. You know, but I really would have loved to see a Georgia versus Michigan. That's 2 top-tier defenses. You know, Georgia's #1 all season long. Michigan's right behind them at #2. I just don't see how you don't fit Georgia in the playoffs over Texas.
Or even Florida State over Texas. You can't have a undefeated Power 5 conference championship miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But I mean, and then.
But that's the thing with the 4-team playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming next season, a 12-team playoff. So, you know, I think LSU finished at 14th this season, so they would have missed at 9-3, even with the Heisman winner and Jaden Daniels. So overall, Michigan, they rose to the occasion, and they, you know, really blocked out all the haters and surprised a ton of people this season. You know, Stephen A. Smith, Paul Finebaum, they were saying, you know, this was their year and all that kind of stuff, and then they go 15-0, win a national championship. So Michigan wins a national championship. That's all the time we'll have today, folks.
We'll see you guys on the next time on Playing to the Whistle.